That's a 22-yarder. Dinos take an early lead. Second Q now, and the Rouge Or regain that lead. Richard, looking like a polished vet, floats a beauty between two defenders right to Julian Bailey. That's a 21-yard major. Third Q now, Andrew Buckley under center for the Dinos. In the Laval zone, he connects with Hardy. That's a good chunk of change. And that leads to this 12-yard dash from Mr. Mercer Timmis himself. Calgary takes a 23-17 lead. But this is where it all goes downhill for the Cowtowners. Richard, deep in his own zone, fires over the middle. Benoit Gagnon Brousseau hauls it in, and he gone. BGB takes it to the house. That's a 100-yard score, putting the Red Machine in front for good. Laval would add 11 more points, and they take this one by 12. Richard was quite impressive in his first taste of CIS action. The freshman slinger finished the day connecting on 17 of 26 passes for 272 yards and 2 touches. BGB caught 4 passes, picking up 142 yards, and of course that one major. For Calgary, Brett Blasco and Jake Hardy put in good performances, while Dulesky and Buckley shared the load under center, both putting up good numbers. It's going to be quite interesting to see just who gets the majority of snaps for both of these clubs throughout the season, as both teams are well stocked in the QB position.
Acadia hosting St. Mary's, a little preseason football at Raymond Stadium. San Pedro, California native Jeff Cummins ready for his 11th season as the head honcho in Wolfville. First points on the board belong to Tommy Troop. He scampers in from the 4. It's 7 blank for the red on red. Acadia stacking the barn on defense as well. The Axemen looking sharp heading into the real deal next week. They top St. Mary's 34-5. Nice looking run from Tommy Troop there. John Shaw with some pretty decent numbers heading into his first test next week against Mount Allison. He goes 9 of 13 for 177 yards, along with 2 majors. SMU, meanwhile, starting their 2014 campaign next week, playing host to St. FX.
To Regina we go now. Rams playing host to the G-Bears. Frank McChrystal beginning his farewell season at the Rams helm. Early first Q, Rams missed the field goal, and Andre Webster says, "I'll take that." Fast forward 110 yards, and he's in the Rams end zone. Just like that, it's 7-zip Alberta. Early in the second quarter, Noah Picton launches one up for Mitch Picton. Mitch takes a late lick. The laundry hits the field, as does Mitch. Regina capitalizes on the penalty as Jens Johnson rushes this 3-yarder in for the major. That puts the Rams on the scoreboard. Later in the queue, Ryan Schwartz connects with Adam Zeidel. That's the first of his 2 touchdowns on the day. Alberta takes a 25-13 lead into halftime. But the Rams came out in the second half, guns a-blazing. Cayman Shutter now under center. He tosses this bomb to Mitch Thompson. That's good for an 88-yard tally, and they don't stop there. Regina puts up 27 points in the second half and take the honey right out of the G-Bears' hands. Rams take this one by 12. Shutter in limited action was solid for the Rams, connecting on 9 of 15 passes for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thompson with a fine debut for the Rams, hauling in 4 grabs for 134 yards. Ryan Schwartz saw the majority of snaps for Alberta, tossing for 160 yards and 2 majors. But this day was all about Andre Webster, who caught 4 passes for 101 yards. Combined with his 110-yard punt return, Webster finished the game with an incredible 237 all-purpose yards for the G-Bears.
All right, we are moments away from kickoff here in the Canada West. However, one conference is already 1 week deep. Let's see how things went in week 1 of the OUA.
Let's start things out late in this one. We're inside 5 minutes, and Marshall Ferguson tosses up a gem to Max Cameron. That's 33 yards with a deuce to follow, and Ben O'Connor reaching out, he breaks the plane. It's 27 up following the convert. OT we go, and Marshall Ferguson calls his own digit. Mac wins their opener 34-27. Air Marshal Ferguson throws for over 300 yards for 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also runs 5 times for 16 yards and the game-winning scamper. Mac might make a little noise this season. Expect a 2-0 start to the year when they visit Waterloo in week 2.
Queens took the 6-hour journey southwest to Windsor to joist with the Lancers. and the Gales were striking first. This 3-yard major from Jesse Andrews made it 10-0 Queens early on. They would add a safety and a field goal to make it 15-0, but at the start of the second Q, the Lancers would strike back big time. Austin Kennedy looks to the sideline for Evan Peshonik, and well, this happened.
The 20, the 10, touchdown Lancers!
Boom! Kennedy and Peshonik, boom! That's a 90-yard major. Gales lead cut to 8. Very next series for the Lancers. Give me one more, Mr. Colorman.
Down.
Boom. Lancers trail now by 1. Late in the second Q, the home team would take the lead. Bo Lumley breaks free, and wait for it.
Touchdown Lancers!
Boom. Give it to me 3 times, Mr. Color Guy. Lumley with a gorgeous run. Love the Deion Sanders high kicks into the end zone. Lancers out in front, but not for long. Right before the half, Billy McPhee to Alex Carroll. Queens takes a 1-point lead into the potty break. Second half, and the Lancers come up firing. Kennedy scrambles out of the pocket and airs it out for Peshonik. Oh! No, you didn't, Mr. Cullerman. Lancers retake the lead. Can you believe this game? But wait, there's more. Fourth Q now. McPhee checks down, finds Peter Hannon for the major. Queens back in front, and they didn't let it go. Under 5 to go in the game. McPhee with a beauty of a toss, like a raindrop from the heavens, perfectly placed into Doug Corby's hands. Queens gets a scare from the Lancers, but hang on to take it by 9. The two teams combined for 940 yards of total offense on the day. McPhee goes 17 for 35, tossing for 259 yards and 3 majors, while his counterpart, Austin Kennedy, connected on 26 of 41 passes for 393 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. If this game is any indication of how the OUA season is going to go down, well, hold tight, Ontario. Boom! It's going to be a bumpy ride.
U of T, Laurier, the Varsity Blues opening their 2014 campaign on home turf. Jayhawks come out swinging first, though. It's James Fracas smacking Marcus Arkarakis. That's a 46-yard catch and run, and it makes it 8-blank for the White. Then, following a Toronto safety, Dylan Campbell got his huge day rolling. All those stats to come shortly. Here, though, he goes 74 yards all the way to the painted fake grass, and just like that, it's 17-0 Willie. Right before the end of the Q, Simon Nasser hits Levi Noel. He goes 79 yards. He looks like a young Paul to pass out there, doesn't he? This cuts the lead to 17-7 after 1. Then James Fracas finds Craig Nyhoff here for his second major of the day. Nyhoff takes it 66 yards all the way to the house. The $5 bills win 53-17. Dylan Campbell with an absolute massive game, 16 rushes for 293 yards along with 2 majors. Meanwhile, Greg Nyhoff played best supporting actor in the drama. He had 5 grabs for 100 yards and a pair of touchdowns of his own.
Waterloo hosting Carleton. The sophomore Ravens looking for a first win since the program's revival. Quarterback Jesse Mills seals the deal here, plunging into the end zone, putting this one out of reach. Carleton wins its first game since 1998, whipping the Warriors by 19. Mills finished the game connecting on 11 of 22 passes, tossing for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also rushing that one in. Javari Bennett was the high man on the ground for the Ravens, rushing for 120 yards on 15 carries.
York visiting Ottawa. First score of the game, GGQB. Derek Wendell tosses up a 4-yard pass to Ian Stewart. Just like that, it's 7-bagel. A few minutes later, Nick Naylor nails this 20-yarder for York. That cut the lead to just 4. It's anyone's ball game. End of the first Q. A little something for the Ottawa faithful. It's a race for the ages. And clearly, Rusty had a few cans of beefarino before the race. He leaves them all in the dust. What a delicious cuisine, built for king and queen. All right, let's get back to the action. Tommy Mack drives in a 5-yard scamper for the Maroon. It's 17-3 for the OGG. Then Vincent Campbell adds a 72-yard punt return. It's actually his second return punt for the major in this game. Mind you, there was a penalty in the first one, so it didn't count. The long and short of it, the GGs run up the board on the York Lions, 51-7. Derek Wendell was the man for Ottawa. He goes 24 of 26, 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. Not to mention he ran the ball for 53 yards on 5 attempts. Ottawa looking strong to start the year. We'll find out if it was a fluke next week when they visit Queens. All right, now we welcome in the broadcast team, Jim Mullen, Jesse Lumsden. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. Jim, tell me about the visiting Manitoba Bisons.
Rough news for the Manitoba Bisons coming into this game with Nick Dembski sitting out due to a hamstring injury. It's not a serious injury. They're going to watch it day to day, and that's a huge minus for this team, especially missing Anthony Coombs, who has moved on to the Toronto Argonauts as a first-round draft pick. Evan Gill is the big guy that you've got to watch on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line. He's a guy that was drafted in the first round by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and some people say with a good year here, he has a shot at the NFL as a free agent.
There you go. Jesse, tell me about the hometown Huskies.
Well, the hometown Huskies have home field advantage, and it's going to be a packed crowd for the first game. A young team losing 11 veterans, that's going to be huge for the young guys to be able to come, step up, and perform in front of this big crowd. A couple other rookies to the team that are going to be on the sidelines. Unfortunately, our loss, Lawrence Nixon will be coaching the quarterbacks, and Scott Flory, who's a massive veteran CFL lineman, will be able to bring experience and terminology to this Huskies O-line, which will help against this strong Manitoba Bisons defense line.
All right, let's take a look at the rest of the Canada West. Let's central in on Alberta. You're a Calgary man yourself. What can you tell me about the two teams in Alberta?
Well, right now they're sitting at opposite ends of the spectrum. Calgary Dinos are the team to beat in the West. Alberta wants to come out and win some games, and the biggest thing for them is the recruiting, and Chris Morris, head coach, has done a great job with that. Calgary being a younger team, that's going to help these guys with the recruiting. The guys coming out of high school are going to see that it's going to be tough to crack this Dino lineup for quite some time, and Chris Morris is going to jump all over these Alberta-based good players. Now, the other end of the spectrum, Calgary Dinos. Rashad Simonides will be missing the first 2 weeks of this season, but they have plenty of other weapons, specifically Mercer Timmis, who I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do this year for those guys.
Dr. Goline, we'll see what he can do. Jim, tell me about the rest of the conference.
The UBC Thunderbirds may have had the best recruiting season in some time by landing the Davis brothers, Terrell and Marcus Davis, both of whom are running backs, but they'll use the younger Davis, Marcus Davis, as a slot back. They've got a solid defense as well, and don't forget Brandon Deschamps, the 1,000-yard rusher, also on the offensive side of the ball. As for the Regina Rams, they have yet to find a running game. Cayman Shutter's going to have to do it with his arm.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Have a good game tonight. Best of luck. It's the start of the season. Good times ahead. We'll join these guys shortly. We'll throw it back to Andrew right now.
The Calgary Dinos and their reign atop the Hardy titles, 6 in a row to be complete. They're going to be tough to knock off the mantle this year. However, the conference is much improved. Here's a look now at the Canada West. The Dinos ran the table in conference play in 2013 while losing in the Vanier Cup to Laval. Despite an improved Canada West Conference, don't be surprised if the Dinos go undefeated once again in 2014. They're just that good, and they're young. 11 of the 12 starters return on offense, which is led by all-Canadian running back Mercer Timmis and Canada West All-Star quarterback Andrew Buckley, who, funny enough, will be pushed for the starting job by former starter and Canada West Player of the Year in 2012, Eric Daleski. ED is back after missing all of 2013 due to injury, which is a welcome commodity for an already stellar offense that was tops in the Canada West last year. The scary thing about these Dinos is their defense might be their biggest strength. All 12 starters are back, including All-Canadians Dr. Kasama and Cyril Iwanabe. Simply put, don't expect the Dinos' 6-year streak of Hardy titles to end this year. The Herd is coming off a successful 2013 season that saw them come one win away from making it to a national semifinal. Despite losing All-Canadian Anthony Coombs, the Bisons are still very strong on offense, with Canada West All-Star quarterback Jordan Yance returning for a final season, alongside fellow Canada West All-Star Nick Dembski, who many consider to be a top pick in the 2015 CFL draft. With a defense that many consider to be improved in 2014, look for the Bisons to make another run to a Hardy Cup final this year. The Thunderbird season closed on a blanket of snow, losing to Calgary in a snowy Canada West semifinal that many of the T-Birds will tell you that they let slip out of their hands. No pun intended. However, the 2014 Thunderbirds will be a force to reckon with. They returned 19 of 24 starters, 9 on offense, which will be led by running back Brandon Deschamps, who had a breakout season in 2013. The T-Birds are hoping that top recruit Marcus Davis, the number 3 ranked recruit in the nation according to Canada Football Chat's Top 100, alongside his older brother Terrell Davis, who transferred from Arizona State, will be able to make an immediate impact. The pivot position is once again up for grabs, with Carson Williams and Greg Bocott both vying to earn the starting position. 10 starters are back, with first-team All-Canadian JP Metris Award nominee Donovan Dale anchoring the D-line. Head coach Sean Olsen has been quoted saying that he believes that this will be one of the best assembled teams he's had since coaching at UBC. In soon time, we shall know.
The OUA can be split into 3 tiers, and at the top of that pyramid, standing alone, are the Western Mustangs. Winning a 30th Yates Cup in school history is just the beginning of what was an incredible 2013 campaign. The Purple Ponies set multiple CIS and OUA records en route to an undefeated OUA regular season. The offense, which set an OUA record for points in a season last year, will be just as lethal in 2014. Stud quarterback Will Finch leads this potent attack. Finch set an OUA record last year, tossing for 3,047 yards while completing 69.7% of his passes. In the backfield, the Stangs' 3-headed monster of Garrett Sanvito, Yannick Haru, and Adam Sinclair is straight up scary, while the receiving corps is led by George Johnson, who was an All-Canadian in 2013. On D, Western returns 9 starters, including All-Canadian lineman Darryl Wadd, who is considered to be a top prospect in the 2015 CFL Draft. 2014 marks the 20th anniversary since the last time Western won a Vanier Cup. This could very well be the year that streak comes to an end. Level 2 of that OUA tier hierarchy sits 2 teams, Queens and Guelph. Let's start things with the Gales. This is a transition year for Queens, with just 4 starters returning on offense. The good thing, they're in key positions. Quarterback Billy McPhee is returning for his 5th year and looks to lead an offense that was the 2nd best in the CIS in 2013. The loss of Gale's all-time leading rusher, Ryan Granberg, shouldn't be too hard on offense. As Jesse Andrews proved last year, he's more than capable of carrying the load in 2014. Defensively, just 6 starters are returning. All-Canadian lineman Derek Wiggin, plus OUA first-team All-Star defensive back and owner of the best name in CIS football, Jan Dikabalatoken, will be looked upon to anchor the young new core. Do the Gales have enough to compete with the likes of Western? Well, that's hard to fathom. Returning to a Yates Cup final, that will be the goal for this transition year at Queens.
The littlest school in CIS football took the second half of the 2013 AUS season by storm, winning its first AUS championship since 1997 while hosting the UTEC Bowl in Sackville for the first time in school history. To say 2013 was a big year for the program would be an understatement. However, despite returning 10 starters on offense this fall, the Mounties lose its biggest weapon in AUS Outstanding Player of the Year, Jordan Botel, which will be a tremendous hole to fill in the backfield. QB Brandon Lay was an AUS All-Star in 2013, leading the conference with an average of 171 yards passed per game. The third-year pivot finished with a strong playoff run, tossing for close to 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, while completing 57% of his passes in those 3 games. On defense, the Mounties returned all 12 starters from 2013. Led by first-team All-Canadian defensive back Kwame Adjei, the Mounties D will need to improve dramatically in 2014. Mount A was the worst in the conference, allowing close to 27 points per game. It's not a lock that the Mounties will win another AUS title, especially with the loss of Botel, but do expect the reigning champs to be in the mix. SMU veterans will be looking for redemption after losing to Mount Allison in the final minutes in the Loney Bowl last year. However, not many of those vets are around anymore. The Huskies returned just 6 starters on offense, led by second-year quarterback Ben Rosen, who started 4 games under center last year. Melvin Abankbo will look to carry a huge load, not only at receiver, but also in the backfield. Defensively, the look is quite the same. Just 6 starters returning from last year. Gone are AUS All-Stars Rob Jubenville and Eric Black, which leaves Jay Langa as the Huskies' only returning conference All-Star from 2013. With the amount of first years and sophomores having to fill into key positions on both sides of the ball, look for 2014 to be a year filled with growing pains for the Huskies.
The reigning back-to-back Vanier Cup champs will be hard-pressed to knock off the throne in 2014. When you're consistently the best team in the nation, it's hard to not have depth. On offense, the Rouge et Or do lose a few key pieces, yet look to not miss a beat, starting at the QB position where Alex Skinner will have a battle on his hands in training camp as the red and gold landed who some say is the top quarterback recruit in the nation, Hugo Richard. Laval lost O-lineman Pierre Lavertu, who was the first pick in the CFL draft, yet was able to land 6'5", 300-pound top recruit Matthew Wafortin. On defense, they returned 9 starters, which is frightening for their opposition. The Red Machine was the top defense by a long shot in 2013, allowing just 11.5 points against per game. Come season's end, expect the Rouge et Or to be on top of the RSEQ board once again. The Carabas season fell just short of a Dunsmore title after losing to Laval by 3 in last year's final. The returning players, well, they're hoping to gain some experience from that loss and turn a negative into a positive this time around. On offense, the loss of one of Montreal's greatest players ever, Rotran Sene, will be a tough hole to fill. However, Manuel Crissy-Lazon will look to step into the big shoes that Sene left behind. At pivot, Gabriel Cousineau will get the starting job, but don't be surprised if top recruit Hugo Henderson, who Canada Football Chat had ranked as the best QB recruit to stay in the country, to find himself under center plenty of times this season. On D, the Carabin was ranked second in the CIS last year, allowing just 15 points against per game. Montreal had 7 RSEQ All-Stars last year on D, 6 of them this time around. To be blunt, pencil the Carabin into the Dunsmore once again this season.
Two shot. All right, now we are getting ready for kickoff. We are moments away. All right, let's throw down some predictions here. I like Saskatchewan, and I'll tell you why. They got a brand new sideline and experience help. Scott Flory, big-time CFL vet, and our boy, Lawrence Dixon. We're going to miss you, buddy. Best of luck this year.
Well, I like the Bisons myself. I mean, despite Dembski being out of the game, I got a little inside information from Brian Dobie that I'm not going to share with you. So I am going to take the Bisons myself to win this one. However, since you're taking Saskatchewan, I'm taking Manitoba. There's got to be some sort of wager or something that we got to do here. Like someone buys the beers at the end of the night, or
Streaking.
Streaking?
No?
You think KFC's open?
Too much? There's only one way to find out, buddy.
Well, okay, I'll take it. I'm on. I'm streaking down the streets of Saskatoon tonight. Will be this guy.
Yeah.
Not this guy, because Manitoba's going to win
Let's
this
hope somehow it's a tie and nobody wins. Oh, our
What's this?
Twitter's blown. Our brand new Twitter feed at Krown Countdown U. Kim Mitchell's laying into us here.
Hey, I meant no disrespect to Mr. Kim Mitchell. I love your music.
How can you not? Canadian rock legend. And look, it looks like they're turning on the patio lanterns.
Oh, that must mean it's time for kickoff.
Yeah, absolutely it does. For Jim Mullen, Jesse Lumsden, this is Andrew Wadden. I'm Ryan Sullivan. Thanks for joining us in this special pregame edition of Krown Countdown U. We're going to turn over to Canada West Football. You're watching Shaw TV.